everybody, and welcome back to Sell More Academy, the mastermind for more sales. My name is Ben McGary, and for the last 2 decades, I've spent nearly every day trying to figure out how to sell more stuff. I've been in the trenches selling my own products and services for years. I've built teams, companies, and systems that sell from Main Street, small town USA, all the way to Wall Street. And I've also been fortunate enough to coach and consult for countless others worldwide, all in totaling over $150 million in sales. During that time, it has become painfully obvious that the marketplace is and always will be loud and noisy. These days, content creators and social media gurus promote clickbait tactics and short-sighted strategies that often cause more harm than good. It seems like everybody has all the tools at their fingertips, but nobody really knows how to put it all together. Plus, what worked yesterday might not work today, and it'll almost certainly be different again by tomorrow. And that's precisely why I started Sell More Academy, to build a community and a set of resources to help you stay ahead of the curve, to help cut through the noise and make sense of your next best step. At Sell More Academy, we focus on what we consider to be the 5 pillars of modern business success: AI, branding, marketing, sales, and systems. We bring this to you through a powerful combination of a vibrant mastermind community where you can connect with and learn from fellow high achievers and experts in the field, live masterclasses just like this one, where we dive deep into the specific strategies and tactics covering one pillar each day, a curated collection of resources, including free tools that we're building to help you sell more effectively, and our Sell More directory, connecting you with pre-vetted providers and solutions that you'll need whenever it's time to either outsource or just find the right tool for the job. Our goal here is to provide you with everything that you need to not only stay informed and competitive, but to sell a lot more stuff. And that brings us to today's masterclass, where we're diving deep into a topic that's really shaping the future of business, but it's also redefining what's possible: agentic AI and the future. I'm super excited to introduce today's special guest, Bryce DeCora. Bryce is the brilliant mind behind CloseBot, the #1 rated AI appointment setter that is absolutely revolutionizing how agencies scale their business. But his story is really what sets him apart. He grew up on a farm in Nebraska, which we're going to talk about, learning the value of hard work and ingenuity from the ground up. That foundation propelled him from the farm to the forefront of the tech world, with a career that includes everything from engineering at Boeing to now leading a company at the cutting edge of AI. And I know Bryce personally. He's not just a theorist. He's an actual builder. He's one of those tech nerds that likes to build on his own product. Bryce has a deep background in AI, engineering, and in natural language processing, and he's working every single day shaping the future of what's possible for agencies. He understands that the next evolution of AI isn't about following scripts or something that's pre-built. It's about creating intelligent, autonomous systems that can perform entire jobs, a concept called Agentic AI. His work is truly a testament to what we're trying to build here in our Sell More mission. By automating and optimizing the most critical parts of the process, Bryce and his team are truly empowering entrepreneurs to focus on what they do best: close deals, grow their business, not have to focus on tech. He's here today to pull back the curtain on the complex world of AI and hopefully make it a little easier for us to all understand. And then ideally, through this conversation, we can come up with a roadmap so we know what to do so we know what to do next. But with that, I want to officially welcome to Sell More Academy, Bryce DeCora. Thank you so much for being here. I know your schedule is crazy, and I know how many demands you get. I'm very honored that you're here. Please fill in any gaps that I missed. Tell us a little bit more about what you got going on over at CloseBot and the team that you put together.
You nailed it, man.
Thanks,
Good to be here with you. Ben and I connected, a while ago. When did you guys get started with CloseBot? Was
You were in V1. You were in
very
the
much
beginning of
V1,
V1. Yeah.
but it was maybe like
2 years ago.
2.5 years ago, 2 years ago.
Yeah. roughly?
Yeah, you guys were one of the early, I'd say, bigger agencies on it, and your expertise uh, was very evident from the very beginning. You and I were on a lot of calls working through bugs in the very beginning, finding out like how we get this thing working.
Yeah,
Very much pioneering together. So thank you for that. And we got to know each other really well during that
yeah,
time.
that's nice.
So yeah. Other things, yeah, I grew up on a farm, left the small town, which very few people do.
Yeah.
Uh, Went to engineering school, ended up at Boeing, decided to make my own path and start a software company. And it's been a journey ever since.
It's been fun to watch. I'm very fortunate to be able to see the beginning of CloseBot and watch it develop and see how people have, the everything from the skeptical beginning of I don't know if this is for me to the raving fans, as soon as they use it and they flip over, it's pretty phenomenal to watch. So it's been a lot of fun to see the whole journey and to meet your team as well. Being able to connect with you guys down in October was pretty great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Well, I've got some questions to hop into so we can kind of understand a little bit more about you. Particularly, I'd like to start where I mentioned already. I'd like to start in Nebraska. And the reason why is because I'm from the Midwest as well. And so I'm from a small, I guess you would call it a town, but it's really a village because there was only 250 people. So I feel like this is something else that we just have in common. Aside from being the long hair guys, I feel like that's another
Yeah.
piece we
Yeah.
got here. So tell me a little bit about it. How do you go from growing up on a farm in Nebraska and where, if you don't mind, to becoming the CEO of this cutting edge company, man? What does that personal journey look like?
Yeah. Wow. Town of 150 people, but I don't know how it is with you. Like our town of 150 doesn't have a school anymore. So the nearest school is a half hour away. So it'd be a half hour drive every day into school. People can start driving at 14 because you have to get to
With
school.
farm law or something they call it in Nebraska?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So even before that, I was driving tractor in the field. Like my dad would get me up early. He'd need someone to help him rip corn, which is where you drive the tractor through the field and these blades go in between the rows of corn and like tear up the earth to like get air in there, grows better, less packed. But I was like 12 doing that at like 4 in the morning.
It's crazy.
He, though, was very much against me staying and doing farming.
Interesting.
Um, I think it's because he left small town. He was a banker out in Vegas and decided he wanted to go back home to the farm and do the farming thing, but then saw how hard it was because like then he was in it, trapped, some might
Yeah.
say. Like once you're in it and you have the land and stuff, can't really
It's like a
leave.
1 foot in thing.
So he didn't want that for myself and my brothers. So he made it as much of a hell as possible, I think. Getting us up at 4. We weren't allowed to work on our family farm. He let us work for one of the neighbors who owned a feedlot, which was much worse because my literal job was scooping poop and cutting weeds every day. And they didn't even let us use like a lawnmower to cut the weeds. We had to do it with a hand sigh.
Wow.
It was like awful. So scooping poop, cutting weeds with a hand sigh. And yeah, that made me not want to stick around and do farming.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was
Yeah.
always into tech growing up. Like I would take apart old VCR, VHS things and radios and got in trouble all the time from breaking stuff. I thought I'd be able to put it back together and then I couldn't.
That's familiar. I like that. So
So
how do you
yeah,
get
that was
from
my
there
start.
to tech? That's such a big jump.
I was good in school because my mom was quite a hard ass. She pushed me and I liked it, but didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I liked math and science. and someone came from and I've been this way my whole life. Like I oftentimes just pick the first thing and I don't look at other options and I'll just do that thing super hard. And that's how it was with me going to college. Someone came to speak about engineering at a school called School of Mines in South Dakota, small college for engineering. And I didn't visit any other schools. I didn't look at any other majors. And I was just like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. And then I went and did that.
Nice. I like that. So like, hey, there's a well-worn path. Let's take it.
Yeah.
So how do you end up in Washington from South Dakota?
I graduated, but right before graduation, got pregnant with my girlfriend, and I just needed the first job I could find. I didn't want to leave the Midwest because
Yeah,
that's scary.
sure.
I wanted to get a job in Denver, but I applied to probably 100 jobs in Denver and one in Washington. And I didn't get a single interview from any of the ones in Denver.
Wow.
And I got an interview, the one in Washington, and then the job offer. So with a new baby on the way, I was like, I can always come back, but we need the money to
Yeah,
support the family. And yeah, I've been here ever since.
that's amazing. It's crazy how you can go from people struggle to understand this unless you're from the Midwest. Things that are not in the realm of possibility for us, right? Like it's just you didn't. I'm guessing in Nebraska, depending on which part of the state you're in, probably not too much different than I was in Missouri, and these things aren't even a possibility. Like, oh, you work on the computer, you mean you scam people? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, there was nobody realistic that worked online around us anywhere, at least in, in my part of the woods there to grasp onto and be like, well, what do you mean you can build things and just do, and so I wasn't on a farm. I was in my family owned a construction company, so it was very similar. Like, oh, cool. You're going to learn how to weld at 4 a.m. in the morning, or you get done with football practice. Great. You need to cut some plate. Like there's always something to be done. So I appreciate that a lot. Well, let's jump in a little bit here to more of the AI stuff because I know that's what everybody wants to hear. I could talk about this part forever. What do you think? Like, why? I see you constantly, especially on the blog, doing something that I think is wonderful. You do a lot of research for your audience so that they know exactly what the best choices are because it's a crowded market. So my question is with all of this hype that's around AI and like, all this noise in the market, why do you think now is such a critical time for people to actually learn what's possible with AI and what they want to do with AI?
Yeah, I think it's always been a great time to get into AI, but for the right reasons. Starting first with the problems that we're trying to solve. A lot of people try to get in and learn AI just for the sake of learning AI and then finding a hole to fill with that new widget they learned how to use. And that's where it gets dangerous. You waste a lot of time. Um, for me, it was real estate that got me out of Boeing. Doing real estate with my wife, who is a realtor, and having the problem where we were just chatting with so many people. Like I was sending 2,000 texts a day to homeowners just trying to drum up business for us. And we had a team of virtual assistants trying to respond. And that was the origin of CloseBot because I had a real problem. And these businesses, and maybe listeners here too, have real problems. So start there. And then have a foundational understanding of what AI is so that you know when you're looking at tools what is just flashy marketing and what is actually probably viable as a solution for your problem. Does that make sense?
That's such a good point. There's so much out there, and it's hard to tell what's real and what's hype from a lot of these companies. I mean, we just saw something over the last, week and a half come out that really just, I love what you said. I feel like it just completely derailed a bunch of business owners and made them go work on stuff that they had nothing to do with that. And they were like, oh, here's a cool tool. Let me see how I could use it in my business. Instead of, as you said, there's a problem. Let me go figure out how to fix it.
The last week and a half, especially with the OpenClaw slash Moltbot slash CloudBot slash whatever it's going to be next.
Yeah, and I just see so many people. I mean, I've seen a lot of people. I can't imagine what you've seen. There's just people coming. Are you getting a lot of that? People coming to you like, what? How does this affect us? What does this have to do? Or I mean, what is it that makes you? I guess here's a better question. What is it that makes you go out and research these things so that your clients aren't having to? Is it because they're bringing so many of these questions to you, or what is that?
Let me start by saying I've almost messed around with no tools. I use ChatGPT not because I think it's the best, but because I don't have the time and energy to go download Claude for the marginal improvements I would receive. I haven't used workspaces on Claude or projects in ChatGPT, or I haven't tried OpenClaw stuff. Like, I don't go do any of this because it's not going to solve a problem for me.
That makes sense.
What I want people to keep in mind is, and some people might have direct experience with this, I know I do now, even if you hire the most intelligent and capable person, it still takes vision and guidance from the owner of the company. If I hire an extremely talented developer and I tell him I want him to build CloseBot and I give him a general how it should work, he's probably going to put too many toggles in places and make it a little bit too complex and tech heavy. My users, which are marketing agency owners, wouldn't be able to use it. And then I have to come in and give guidance like, no, like too many toggles, that sort of thing. So whenever you are thinking about these solutions and they generally pitch themselves as it just does it all for you, it can never replace the decision-making aspect. So if something ever promises that, autonomy, doing all this stuff, reaching out to people for you, making connections, building your apps, carrying through to sales, it's going to make promises to people it can't keep. It's going to say the wrong things to people that it's networking with. It's going to ruin your image to some degree as it says things that are not true about yourself and your environment. It's going to build apps that don't have all the stuff you want and have some things that you didn't want it to have. And so you are more valuable than ever just as a driver.
That makes so much sense. And I mean that goes back to the replacement theory, right, of AI. Like it's not going to replace you if you are a decision maker, if you are the one that's using it and guiding it. It's only going to be the ones that really don't take any part in it, that allow it to just, allow themselves to be replaced because they're not actually part of the process anymore. They're not using the tools. So I like that a lot. What do you think? I like how you said that obviously you have to solve a problem, but what do you think the biggest mindset shift that people need when it comes to approaching AI would be?
Biggest mindset shift. What is the existing mindset, would you say, generally with the people you talk to?
That's a good question. I think that the best I could say is probably confusion, right? No, very few people actually know what's possible and what's real, and the rest are waiting for them to figure it out and tell them. And so I think that even though AI it seems big in our small space, I think that it is somewhat confined to our small space, that the majority of business owners have no clue of what's going on. They're just waiting on people to tell them. So in my mind, it's the confusion aspect of it. Um, but I don't know, maybe you hear something a little different on your side.
I think one big thing, the people that are trying to use it to get more business are selling the product instead of the solution. Like I know a lot of our users, they try to sell AI bots for lead qualification, and that's already a doomed thing. You need to sell easier booked appointments in the middle of the night, um, booked appointments that scale, as you crank up your leads. The entity qualifying and booking those leads to appointments can scale with you without worrying about headcount. I didn't talk about AI there. It's just a tool that helps us solve a problem. So I see ads that just make me cringe saying AI powered and agentic blank. And that's not what we need to be focused on.
About those outcomes that they're after.
Yeah. And even software is changing to follow this model more too. Focus more on, so instead of like pricing that's based on either usage or trust that there will be an outcome, finding a way to price your stuff based on outcomes. It's people, you guys are here probably too, because you have trust issues. There are all these apps out there. You don't know what does work and doesn't work, and the whole world feels that way. So when you can shift your pricing a little bit to be focused more so on price per outcome, it'll be a lot easier to get clients.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. What when you're talking about Closebot specifically and what you guys have built, and I know a lot of people haven't seen inside yet, and I encourage everybody to do so. The Closebot is listed in the directory. Go check them out. Um, but whenever you're actually building those bots to handle multiple tasks at a time, so beyond just having the conversation, making the updates and those pieces, how are you approaching which ones should be AI and which ones should be human? Because I know you have one of the coolest features I've ever seen is the smart FAQs, and so that's truly just a stroke of brilliance, in my opinion. And so, how do you balance out what the AI should do and what humans should still retain agency over?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let me clarify smart FAQ for anyone listening. Uh, just like an assistant sitting at your receptionist area, when encountering people at the front desk, they will ask the assistant questions that it doesn't know the answer to. And the smart FAQ is a place where the AI can log questions it didn't know the answer to. You can give it the answer so it knows it next time, but it can also reach back out to those leads to let them know the answer.
So cool.
So that's that beautiful human AI loop where you can work together to achieve more. Um, so that's that. But keeping in mind what leads want. Most leads, they want to be routed to the right area to get their problem solved. And sometimes their problem they need solved is they need trust in your business. So high ticket sales, for example, they want to feel understood by a person. So an AI cannot and really should not do that. That's deception. We don't want to deceive people. So if someone is coming to you because they're looking for a coaching program that'll help them drastically grow their business, it's a high ticket type coaching program, and you're pitching that you understand them and where they're coming from, you have all these qualifications and you have experience in similar industries, expediting that qualified lead's journey to you or someone on your team that can help. And we're all about at CloseBot finding ways to expedite a lead's journey to what they count as success, whether that be a booked appointment or a tag that's added to a contact that triggers a call from a human, or if it's like support type stuff and the outcome truly is just getting an answer to something or getting a payment link, that's fine to do with AI too. But expediting the path to success.
Is that something that when you guys are doing it, is that do you look at the whole journey for them, or are you just trying to move them to one step ahead?
We are built with the initial lead qualification in mind, less so for existing customers, if that
Makes
makes
sense.
sense.
Absolutely, yeah. So what do you think then? I could almost guess here, but what do you think some of the top mistakes that either entrepreneurs or business owners or really anybody that's using AI, what do you think the biggest mistakes are that they make when they first try to implement AI into their business?
They try to make it do too much. They try to make it too complex. You really don't need that. If you think of, like for me, when I was texting 2,000 people a day, that would typically result in 2 to 3 warm leads in a day. For a warm lead, we had to determine their estimated property value. We had to determine if there were any other decision makers that needed to be part of the process of selling the home. But that's just like 2 to 3. I can do that. A human can do that. It's the 1,997 other ones that you're responding and tagging not interested. Like that's where the true value is. So build simple systems that make the work 90% easier and leave the 10% to manual systems. Plus, those are leads that are now worth a lot more money. So handle those yourself. Then slowly add complexity. Start with the minimum viable product, get it out there, and slowly add.
I love that you just brought that up. Could you explain that concept to people who aren't in the tech space like us, the minimum viable product?
Minimum viable product is the minimum thing you can implement to bring value. So if that is having a chat widget on your website that collects name and phone number and then tags a human to step in, cool. We
There's
have people booking up to 500 appointments a day right now with CloseBot, and their systems get, most of them just get name, phone number, time zone, book an appointment. Like
yeah.
that's it. You can do routing to different calendars based on the type of service they want and post booking qualification questions and all kinds of crazy stuff, but start simple.
It's really, especially within your community, it's really it's appealing to follow some of these guys that are like, building crazy stuff where it's going and checking maps and doing all of that. But I agree completely. I always try to tell people just get the first step done, and then if you like it, you could do step two. And then if you like that, you could keep going. Like it will never end at this point. We're in a technological cycle that's just going to continue. So yeah, I couldn't agree more. Just start with one step. And I think that's hard for people. It seems maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like every single person is trying to just immediately replace themselves. Like, oh, AI, can I just sit at home and collect money? Let me do that. And that's where they go down the wrong path and then have to come in and hire somebody to come in and fix it or whatever the case may be. How often at CloseBot do you see people start up? And I was one of them, start up and then immediately come to you and say, hey, actually, what we want to do is more complicated than I know how to do, and I need some help thinking through this. Are you still seeing that often, or does the community handle a lot of that now?
Yeah, we see that. It's not me anymore that's like on those calls,
Fortunately, I'm sure.
but our onboarding team, yeah, almost every one of those calls starts with, I'm unique, I'm special, I have this complex use case.
Sure.
And it's like breaking that person down to like, okay, but what's like the foundation of this? Like, how do we get the foundation laid?
Yeah, that makes so much sense. It's funny. How many pre-built templates have you guys already done because you know what you're doing that that well, and then everybody's like, oh no, I need something unique.
Yeah, we have 66 now.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. So tell me a little bit about when you go about building these, because these aren't for your industry specifically. So you have to go through a different thought process of how do we build these things? Are you still part of that, or does the team handle a lot of that?
No, I built all those.
You did.
That was a crazy week.
You
Building
built
six,
66 in a
I
week.
built 66 in a week, each one with a video walkthrough talking about how it works. Um, when you when you do sales in I'd say 2+ different industries, you understand that all sales is the same.
Sure.
There, there are a set of things you need to qualify leads on. You're either booking an appointment or tagging in a human. And other than that, it's just answering questions. Sometimes you might route to a different calendar based on different things, or maybe you can only work with the lead if they're within a certain distance from the business address. But other than that, it doesn't really matter. It's all the
Yeah.
same. So I just put into ChatGPT what I was doing and said, here are a couple different industries I have templates for so far. Come up with 10 other industries kind of like these. And then I just duplicated the other workflow and just modified it a little bit for that new industry. Like roofing bot qualifying on name, address, and then whether it's like emergent or just a repair or a replacement, I was able to copy and paste that and do an insurance one where we still need to know the address of the person and whether this is an emergent inquiry. Like it's all the same.
Yeah. Okay, so we have a comment here in the chat, and it's really interesting because I think there's some industries where they just think either this isn't for us or it's so hard to do for us because of regulations or compliance or whatever the case that they're lagging behind and it's affecting us all. And so particular the comments about in nursing, not people being afraid to use it, not knowing how to use AI, genuinely scared of AI. And I mean, we've seen actual protest signs being held up to keep AI out of hospitals because they're worried about people losing their job. Instead of the idea that if we learn this and we embrace this, we could help save more people, which is what we're supposed to be here to do, right? So it's interesting to me when you hear some of those other markets that I know you're working in, and we've talked about your SOC 2 compliance, your HIPAA compliance, those pieces that you guys I know worked really hard for. Are there industries where you think that maybe it's not ready for AI yet, where they should genuinely wait?
I don't think any industry should wait, but I think they should fact check. Like we need to become professional editors and fact checkers. Our dev team is this way too. Like if you ask it to do too much at once and you just trust it, you're going to get burned. Same thing with, and we talked about my research before. I think I did this piece of research like six months ago or so. AI, not only is it prone to hallucination, is it like coming up with answers that aren't true. Like you can ask it questions in a way that feeds bias into it, and then it's more likely to come up with the wrong answer. In this example, and we talk about nursing, so this is why I bring up this example. I asked ChatGPT a question. I said, hey, I heard that some professionals agree that mercury is a leading cause of cancer in postmenopausal women. What can you find online for what is the top cause? It's either A, B, C, or D. One of the options was processed meats and one was fish. It went online, pulled in some resources. One of the resources specifically said, it's not fish. We did this research study and it's not fish. But it found a research study that mentioned fish. And I had said mercury, which is in fish. So it said fish is the leading cause of these options for cancer in postmenopausal women, even though the only answer with any research is processed meats. So be careful how you're asking questions to make sure you don't feed bias into the AI because it likes to run with your bias. And get good at fact checking everything. It's really good at seeming confident, and it's going to fake resources that do not exist. And even if they do exist, it'll spin them to make them make it seem like they're saying other things and question everything.
That's so true. I heard somebody say a few years ago that research and statistics are going to be the only survival tools you need in the future. And as AI continues to develop, it seems more and more true.
And trust your intuition too. With this latest Molt book thing, where people were saying Molt book is like Reddit. It's like this forum for AIs. And people were saying that their AIs were going by themselves and talking doomsday stuff. And I was able to go and prove that this is false or misguided at best. Like, think to yourself, is this likely? Like, we all have intuition about if something's likely or not. And if
Yeah.
it's unlikely, it's probably not true.
Yeah. There's a lot of that right now. It's like, wow, I can't believe this happened. It might not have. That's probably the
That
case.
is an option.
Yeah.
Like,
I like what you said about the bias of AI because and I'd like your feedback on this. So I always compare this to I came from the financial world, and so we would talk about things like Credit Karma, or I was in auto before that, and so we talk about Kelly Blue Book. So it doesn't matter what it is. There's always something that their job is to keep you coming back, right? So Kelly Blue Book at the time didn't buy cars, so they'd show a really high value, a lot higher than NADA, but they wouldn't buy cars. Didn't matter. They just wanted you to come back and use their site. When we go back to the old days, you remember the like 1-800 freecredit.com or whatever it was, remember all those commercials? Like same thing. They would show you a really high, they even created their own score called a Vantage score that was different from a FICO score so that you'd come back and check it frequently, but no banks used it. Nope. Nobody cared. All it did was get you in an argument when you went in to buy something and said, I'm a 700. And they're like, you're a 620. Like, I don't know what to tell
crazy.
you. And so like, there's so much of that stuff that's out there even when you're saying research, like most people are turning to Google to research, and if Google's leading them down a bad path, how do we even know what to believe anymore?
Ooh,
Hard one. Some of it I feel like is just kind of wait and see. I mean, that's been a little bit of it, Some of these things that sound great kind of implode on themselves within a week or a month or so.
it depends on the person. Like, I've done enough different stuff and I've built enough tools that I have a really strong intuition for what is likely true and likely false. Like, if I had enough experience in credit and I went to one of those sites to do my credit and it told me a number that my intuition said, no, my credit's not that high. Like, I would question that. Some
Yeah.
people don't have that intuition. And so I think a skill is just building that up, questioning things and researching. That's such, and you said this, like statistics and research. Those are great skills to have.
Yeah. Survival at this point. Yeah, it's crazy. So, okay, so tell me, you said earlier you kind of talked a little bit about the Pareto side, which I love, the Pareto principle. So, what do you think could be that 20% of the work that actually, when it comes to AI, that gets people 80% of the outcome that they're after, that they actually want?
I think charting everything you do in a week, trying to think of how I've done this for myself. Everything you do in a week, then mark what takes you most time and what brings you the least amount of joy.
Uh,
For me, um, like a large amount of time was spent on outlining blogs that I write. I just don't like to think about the structure, and I often go through a bunch of series of rewrites. And AI has been really helpful for me in structuring, but I do like writing the final output. So even though I could use AI to write my blogs, I don't because it's something I like doing. Yeah, many people don't write it down. And if you don't want to write it all down, I heard someone that I spoke on stage with, he had one of those pins,
Yeah. Yeah, I've got one.
and just he had it just playing all day. And just when he did something, he would say like, and I'm doing this now. And he would just talk to it. And then at the end of the day, it has a transcript and you can then have it output a list of things you did.
Yeah. Yeah, I use that, use one of those as well. Actually, after on the flight back, I ordered one because I saw so many people that had those pens. I was like, all right, that's a good idea. So it was a definite purchase for both of us. I use it all the time now. That's great. Okay, we are running out of time, so I want to ask one kind of final question here for you. Although I have about 20 written down that I that came up through this, so I'll hit you up with messages later. But the one thing, so for anybody that's watching this, whether they're live or they see this in our replay in our vaults later, if they could take one action that would help them become either better prepared with AI or just get them to that first stage of using AI today after this masterclass, what would the one thing be that you would advise everybody to go do?
One action to be better equipped, specifically with AI. Are these all marketing agencies?
Not necessarily. We have some just business owners, we have consultants, we have coaches. So a lot of people that are probably more end users.
I'd say one easy step is, man, if you don't have either OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Claude, or Gemini, some sort of interface that you can go and just interact with AI, that's a great start. Just pick one. If you're just getting started, I would get started with Claude. They seem like kind of a leader right now, and they're most focused out of any of them on safety and security. So I like that. Go install Claude, use it on the free. They all have free plans, so use it on their free plan, and just start asking it questions like, "How can you help my business?" That kind of stuff, and just get a feel for what it is good at and can and can't do.
Yeah.
If you haven't done that yet, you need to do that immediately.
I agree completely with that. Auntie and I actually talk about this a lot over at Pest AI about how um, just the process of talking to AI and just communicating with it has made us better leaders of our team because now we think about steps that normally we would have maybe just glossed right over. You know, like you kind of said, oh, go build this thing. And then, humans do that too, or they put too many buttons on or too many toggles, right? And so for us, it's really that chain of thought that that a lot of times we just bypass, especially if we have good people on our team. Then we just bypass that chain of thought and assume that they're going to do that. And so I could not agree more about even if you're just talking to AI about anything, like understanding the process that it goes through, I think is going to help everybody become a better systems thinker.
And talk to it about things that you deeply understand at first. Like if you're an expert in making sourdough, engage with it about making sourdough. And it might say some things where you're like, that's not true. And
Yeah,
that'll start to give you a feel for how confident it is in saying untrue things. And then you can take those skills that you learned, how to engage with it about something you're an expert at already, how to question the outputs because you know it can be untrue, to a new frontier of something you're trying to learn more about, or maybe you're less of an expert in.
that makes so much sense. Yeah, I could not agree more with any of that. Okay, Bryce, I have kept you for a few minutes past what I promised I would. But I appreciate you being here so much. I want to let you get back to your day. I would love to have you back another time and we could build like you offered to do, build something quick if we can make it fit. We'll talk about that a little later. But again, I just want to thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. I think I've taken a bunch of notes here. I can't wait to go back through the transcript personally and just see some of the things that you've mentioned. Um, I'm really excited for what you guys are doing over there. Is there anything before we wrap up that you'd like to tell us about what's going on at Closebot or what's coming up, what you guys are excited about on your side?
We're going to be the number one for lead qualification and booking AI if you're utilizing HubSpot or high level or a developer that's looking for a tool to tie into other platforms. We're pioneering the way, so a lot of people will copy us like a quarter or two later. But we have a lot of really cool stuff coming that I can't talk about right now. Some other stuff we can talk about are all in our roadmap. So get started with CloseBot. We have a free plan, and connect with me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Yeah, I highly encourage everyone to take advantage of that. It's something different than you're going to experience in any other builder. The fact, like, don't gloss over what Bryce just said there, that it works in any system. So there are systems out there that have their own versions of AI in them. It is not the same. This is not an apples to apples comparison. I'm telling you this as somebody who's not only been using this system for 2.5 years, but used a lot of other systems and have been part of other communities that have helped build AI from the ground up. And I can tell you that this is the strongest and best one that is out there. But you do have to learn a little bit. You got to make it work for you. And if you do, sky's kind of the limit. And we are a testament to that, of the way that we've been using it. And so I'm excited, man. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the guidance that you've given us on the business side of things. And I'm just excited for where you're headed.
Thanks, man. Good to see you again.
Yeah, you too. All right, everybody. That's it for today. Go have a wonderful rest of your day. Take all of this information, figure out a best way to make it make sense for you. You'll see the replay live in the class vaults. If you want to have a conversation about it, just drop your comments right below the video or bring this into the mastermind. I will talk AI until your ears fall off. So please feel free to bring those conversations in there. And hopefully, with enough love, we can get Bryce to come back on for another episode later. So
Heck yeah.
that's it. Everybody have a wonderful day and go sell more.